From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Well, good morning, my beautiful people of TikTok. It's nice to see you. I am Bullhorn Betty, and we discuss true crime. And as you see right next to me, I have my sidekick, which is now on the screen right here. This is Delilah. We're going to be covering a few cases, and it seems like every time I go live, she gets really active, and I think it's because I'm talking. And so she's going to be sitting here next to me. If you guys hear her crying a little bit, just don't mind her. She just wants to be the star of the show, as you guys can clearly see. We've got a few case updates to go through. I hope everybody is doing well. This is sponsored by our subscribers here on TikTok, for the subscribers here on TikTok. So I hope you guys are doing well this beautiful Tuesday. I would like to start out and say that everybody please keep Seth Rogers in your prayers. We've been covering the case of his missing son, Sebastian Rogers. Today, he is going to be undergoing surgery. He's having a discectomy infusion at a C5 and C6. And so this is major operation. It's an operation that's all too common, but there are still a level of risk. So for those that are out there, if you guys could be so kind as to give him some prayers today, that would be great. We'll get on to the Sebastian Rogers case in just a second. I wanted to go through a few things with you. Many of you guys know we covered this case. This is Madalena Kojikari. Madalena Kojikari was a young girl from Cornelius, North Carolina. I actually went out there and covered this case personally, boots on the ground. This child disappeared. She got off her school bus on November 21st in the afternoon in 2022. And by November 23rd, 2022, apparently, according to her mother and stepfather, she was gone. They failed to report her missing. The school noticed her attendance. They sent officials out to the house. They knocked on the door. The lady would not answer. Hey, it's nice to see you, Jules. It's nice to see you, my love. They went to her house, knocked the door. Mom wouldn't answer. The stepfather had left. He allegedly went to Michigan or some other places. There's been a lot of information coming out. The reason why we're talking about this is because both mom and stepfather have been charged and convicted with failing to report her disappearance. They have, in this particular article, released some additional information we weren't apprised of prior to, predominantly the jailhouse calls with the family members and obviously Diane Kojikari, the mother, and the stepfather, Palmater. For whatever reason, his first name is just not hitting my tongue this morning. Either way, they're talking about big bags of money being withdrawn. I'm thinking, why was money being withdrawn from their bank if they're receiving a big pile of money? That first and foremost does not make sense to me. But long story short, the mother is now officially a suspect in the disappearance of her daughter. I don't know what happened. This may actually be a case of HT or ST, or something much, much, much worse. We're still waiting. I've been covering this case. I've been waiting for new information to become available. There hasn't been a whole lot. I went out to the jail. I might do a series on Madalena Kojikari. I still got a lot of video and content that has not yet been seen by anybody. So I would like to do that. So again, Madalena Kojikari, if you guys know anything, she's from Cornelius, North Carolina. Her mother is Diane Kojikari. And then she has her father, or her stepfather rather, and he looks like a really, really, really mean guy. I don't like him. I don't like anything about this case. They lived in a nice looking home, and it sounds like it was basically they got married for convenience or something to that effect. That's my understanding. I wanted to bring, this is kind of a, weather service type of announcement for everybody that's on here. There is a massive and major hurricane out in the waters, and it's barreling toward Jamaica right now. I wanted to put everybody on notice about this because this is serious. They've already left the Caribbeans in ruin. And this is a hurricane that is going to go down in our history books. This is one of the soonest hurricanes of this magnitude in our hurricane season. We haven't had a history of this in a really, really significant time. It doesn't sound like this early in our hurricane season have we ever had anything at a Category 5. So I just want everybody that's out there or has family out there, America is very blended. So we have people from all over the country that are families with people from all over the world, rather. And we have people that are friends with and family with people all over the world. So this stuff does affect each and every one of us in its own way. So hopefully there's no power. I mean, I'm hearing it's bad. Like there's no power to the hospitals. Like there's one area, one island that was completely flattened. So just be on the lookout for that. Now this is going to cringe you guys. I'm going to tell you right now, this next story is going to unnerve you. It's going to unnerve you for a variety of reasons. So I'm just putting the disclosure out there right now. This bothered me. This bothered me significantly. This right here is Gene Whitefeather and Donald Lance. They are accused right now of adopting 4 black children, which in and of itself angers the shit out of me, for labor on their farm. They are being charged with some of the most despicable things. Children that need to be adopted, children that are in the foster care system have already been through more than they should have been through. And we as a society say, you know what, their biological parents can't take care of them or won't take care of them. And they need loving homes of people that want to take care of these children. Many you guys may not know my story here, but I can't have children. And so this really, really unnerves me because, and probably why I'm such a fierce advocate when it comes to children is because I feel like the people that want children sometimes don't get them. And the people that don't want the children get too many. And they treat those children really, really poorly. And our system is, when that happens, we come in and we save the children. And we find good homes for them. This right here unnerves me. Because if this is happening in this particular situation, we know it's happening even more that we don't know about. And I pray to God that the Department of Children and Family Services doesn't stop here and starts really investigating these families that are adopting multiple children. There has to be an investigative part to it. And I know if it's anything like the Department of Children and Family Services, it's going to concern me. How did this happen? Is my question. How did this happen? So again, it's a little unnerving. Now, we all know Riley Strain. Riley Strain kind of stole our hearts. He was the Missouri student that came to Nashville with his fraternity. And it was supposed to be a week of fun. They went out to several bars, including the most notable, Luke Bryan's bar on the Strip, and he left there. He was already it sounded like he was already highly intoxicated. He had one drink there, and it sounded like they may have given him some water. And they politely said, maybe you had a little too much. There was they didn't kick him out, but they said, basically maybe you shouldn't be here. Maybe you've had a little too much. And he agreed, and he went to go walk back to the hotel. It appears that he made a few wrong turns, may have gotten lost, and somehow or another in his state, he was introduced to the water, and that wasn't very good. I don't know how all of that happened, but it sounds like he got into the water, and 14 days later, he was found. There was a lot of weird things that went on in his autopsy. There was no water in his lungs. He was missing his boots, and he was missing his wallet and his breeches. He did have his boxers on and the infamous shirt that everybody thought that a homeless person had on. Well, we found out all of that was incorrect, and he was found in his shirt. He was found in the water, and it is believed that he, in fact, did dry drown in that water. Basically, it's a spasm that happens in your throat, and it closes your throat up in an extreme situation. And so he still drowned. He just didn't get the water in his lung because of the spasm in his throat. It sounds like he drowned, and acute alcohol intoxication led to his untimely death. There is no foul play presumed in this case. However, you can see that the parents, he was highly intoxicated. And where did that happen at? So that's kind of where they're at, but it sounds like there is no culpability at Luke Bryan's bar. And it didn't sound like there was. It sounded like he was highly intoxicated prior to making it to that bar. So they may need to go further down on the chain of places that they were at for this particular case. Now, guys, so we're going to be getting back to Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and has not been seen or heard from since. This is the last photo that was taken on the Saturday before he disappeared, and it was taken at Costco's, okay? Not BJ's. Now, you can see the shadow of his face, right here. And a lot of people had pointed out the bruise on his neck. And I said, got to be careful with shadowing and stuff like that. And I never really gave it much thought. I didn't really review the photo. Thank you, Kathy. God bless you guys. Didn't really review the footage or review the photo too much because everybody kept saying that this was an older photo and they can't believe that she gave him this photo. Well, we found out that this is not an older photo. This is a photo that was... Would you quit chewing on my papers? We've got so much stuff for you to chew on. Okay? This is paperwork. This is not for dogs, okay, honey? Oh, good gracious. Sorry, guys. We have puppies. A puppy feels like more than one. It's hard to believe that this little thing can get into so much. But she gets into so much. Anyways, this was one of the last photos taken of Sebastian prior to his disappearance, period. When I was covering this photo previously, I had not, I kind of blew it off. I thought it was an older photo. It wasn't until we had Seth on my interview and I was asking him, basically what happened when he got to the house. And he basically said, Katie took her phone and just shoved this optimism photo. See, he was happy or something like that. I'll have to go back and review his exact wording on that. But it wasn't still, even after I found that out, I never went back to this photo and I forgot about the bruise. And so one of my subscribers sent me an email and started talking about how this was the last photo taken that we know of Sebastian before his disappearance. And then I realized it is the photo with the bruise on the neck. And you can clearly see the shadowing from where the light angles. So the light's got to be over here. If it's shining down and it's creating this shadowing, that tells you which way the light is coming. So he's got light shining down this way, okay? And so you can see the shadowing of his face here. So this is not part of that shadowing. This looks like a thumbprint. And what is so concerning about this photo here and this photo alone is because this was taken 2 days before he disappeared. And we have learned Chris Proudfoot hadn't been at that home in about 2 weeks or more, allegedly. So if that's the case, this bruise is healing, but I don't know how many bruises. I'm unsure how many actual bruises stay there for more than 2 weeks. Most bruises are gone within 5 days, 7 days. This right here has been healing for several days. It's not purple, it's not red, and it doesn't have the yellowing yet. So who could have left that on his neck? That's the problem I'm having here. Who could have left this on his neck? We went through the entire trip related to Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian Rogers went missing on February 26th, and the parents didn't really reach out to social media until many days later. I think the first reported interview was on a very small channel called Duchess on YouTube, and they spoke there for, I want to say, a couple hours about their story. He went missing on February 26th. Typically, when we have missing person cases, we have parents that go right to media and beg for media to put their child on the film, on their news, because they want to get as many eyes on their child as possible. In this particular situation, we learned from the news organizations themselves that Chris demanded that they not even videotape his house the day that Sebastian disappeared. The behavior of Chris and Katie from literally day one, minute one, have been ultra suspicious. Their stories has wildly changed. Their behavior is something that does not bode with the situation. It doesn't appear that they really want to find their son. Anybody that goes into that community is basically ran out by their team of cohorts, including YouTube content creators that are doing their bidding and threatening people that come into that community. When I was there, I filed 2 police reports while I was there for the harassment that I had underwent. I've got video evidence of Terry Bowersock's, Christopher Proudfoot's father, stalking me while I was there. They don't have time to go look for their missing grandson and son, but they have all the time in the world to investigate me, to follow me, to track me down, and to try to intimidate me. They had all the time in the world to do that, but never 1 minute of their time to look for this boy here that clearly has some type of bruising around his neck, which causes me a little bit of heartburn, if you ask me. Sebastian Rogers deserved to be here. He deserves to be going to school with his peers. He deserves to be in his father's care. He deserves more than what he received. We are finding out, although we don't know what the CPS reports have or contain, we do know that it is pretty awful. That there are some allegations that are contained in those CPS paperwork that would most likely give us all pause. Now, while I don't understand or don't know what those specific allegations are, I can tell you that it appeared that Seth was highly upset with what was stated in those reports. He also stated the only thing those reports did say is that Sebastian felt the safest at his father's house. He wanted to go to his dad's. There was a lot of stress. Some of my audience members believe that Katie and Chris's corporal punishment was basically trying to discipline Sebastian into normalcy. He had major issues with his body. He had a chromosome deletion syndrome. He had autism. He had fluid on his brain that caused, him not to be able to play in sports, that made parents very concerned, if he had a head injury or anything like that. It could be fatal to him. It could definitely cause him problems when he already has problems. Then we come around to the fact that Katie and Seth were married 8 years. Sebastian disappeared on the 8-year anniversary of the date that Katie filed for divorce. She filed for divorce February 26, 2016, and Sebastian disappeared February 26, 2024. So this is a concern for me. Many people talk about, the day that he was out. We heard that people thought that was, the best day ever, as if they were setting it up. And that is starting to hold a little more water than it once did, because when you're looking at all these facts and you're looking at the fact that he disappeared on the 8-year milestone of her divorce, or the start of her divorce proceedings, it kind of makes us a little uncomfortable. And then you couple that with a very over-exhausting and over-extenuating, what many people would think would be an over-extenuating day for somebody that has the conditions that Sebastian has. It would most likely have made it very difficult for him to fall asleep, but that's not the kicker. The problem here is Chris gave Katie an ultimatum. The ultimatum that Katie gave Chris gave Katie, was that it was Sebastian or him. She needed to decide between saving her marriage or her family. Chris had already approached Seth to take Sebastian full time. He was starting to go through puberty, and from my understanding with the parents that I've spoke to personally, it's a very difficult time when you have an autistic child going through puberty. It's difficult for the parents. It's difficult on the child. So it's just a very difficult time. And so I think it caused him to do maybe some things that Chris would think are, not normal. We're not dealing with a normal kid. So I think he punished him. But the bottom line is he wanted Sebastian gone. He didn't want Sebastian near his daughter. And he wanted Katie to choose between him and her son. Well, it just so happens to be that Sebastian happens to be gone. Chris gets Faith. And Katie is seen hugging and loving on this little girl. It made me sick. If I can find the photo, I will put it up here, but I don't know if I've saved it or not. But she certainly had, here's one of them, and I know we had it. She was out eating, no problem eating with another child when her child's missing. But the problem that I had was and I don't know where it is. I thought I had it, but I guess I don't. Was her at church with Faith. She was at church with Faith. And she was hugging all over this child like she had never hugged a child in her life. It was really quite sad. So we went to the area. Many of you know, you guys followed me on YouTube or here on TikTok. The little bit of stuff that I was able to produce on here. When I'm out in the field, I will be honest with you. I pretty much divert to YouTube for all of my live content. Occasionally I'll come here, but typically when I'm out in the field, it's just because it saves me an extra step, because when I go live there, it captures it and keeps it. So people can go, when I go live here, I've got to download it and upload it. So obviously I try to cut down my time when I'm in the field, and the only way I can do that is YouTube. So that's where I go. But we were out there in this area, and the one, I think, takeaway that I brought back with me is I don't believe Chris could have ever been at work at 5:15. It sounds like he starts work at 7, and he was there shortly before 7. The other takeaway is many people were wanting to know who was harassing these searchers. Who's been harassing the searchers, who's been threatening the searchers, who's been doing stuff to the searchers' vehicles and things of that nature. And it is Chris and Katie and their cohorts. It is the Bauer Sox are involved with that as well. I know for a fact that that's what they did to me. And I'm not, even though I'm a short little nothing, I am still a firecracker, and I stand my own, and I will not bow down, and I will not be intimidated. I have a story to cover. I plan on covering that story. My job is dangerous. It is stuff that I have to deal with on a daily basis when I'm out in the field. I'm dealing with crime. I'm dealing with people that have nothing to lose. And so when I have content creators further jeopardizing my life when it's already an unsafe environment as is, it really does bother me. So that is exactly what happened. 2 content creators intentionally and willfully put my safety in jeopardy on this case. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen with our next trip. Our next trip is going out there. We have now identified some areas. I've got to find out how I can get permission to go into those areas. And once I get that permission, we will be going forward with our searches. Now, that's not going to really take place until the end of July, beginning of August, but I anticipate getting out there during that time. If anybody would like to help, we'll have more of a coordinated search. You will be coming at your own risk. So I can't, there are, you got to be careful when you're out there in these fields and in areas. There's a lot of wild animals out there. There's snakes, there's poisonous snakes, there's other things that can hurt you. There's other, like even just tripping and falling. I mean, you can break an ankle real quick. So just remember, we do need help, but you're going to have to also be cognizant of your own safety as well when you're out there in the field. So that's kind of where we're at in a nutshell, guys. I don't really have a whole lot for you today. There has been no breaking news information in this case. Law enforcement still has done no forensics of their home. Law enforcement, we're looking at Katie. Katie, in a Nancy Grace interview, stated that she believes somebody could have taken her child. I think with that statement alone, coupled with the fact that he was last seen in his bedroom, they already had probable cause. Why they haven't gotten forensics is beyond me. I think they need to be sponsored. If Sumner County needs us to raise money so they have the money to do the forensic testing, we will be happy to do that. Because to me, I'm starting to look at this county and saying, there's either one or two things going on here. You guys are too broke to do your job, or you're willfully, intentionally not doing it. I'm trying to figure this out. But if Sumner County needs financial help, we have an ability to do that for them. I can tell you that. And I'm absolutely confident that whatever goal they need financially here on these streets, on these social media streets, we will raise that goal. So maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to approach the family and say, hey, look, forensics aren't being done. Is the county broke? If so, why don't you go in there and tell the officers that we here on social media will pony the bill for the forensics. We will pony up the money. If that's what's needed. Because I can't figure this out. It has to be financial or intentional. Financial or intentional. So what we'll do is we'll keep you guys posted. I will be taking off comments for later today. We're going to be coming back live and we're going to be discussing your theories on what now that we're here, 5 months later. If anybody's like me, we started out with one theory, we're here, and our theories have completely changed. So now it's time to go back to the beginning. And let's start talking about our opinions, about what we think happened. Let's just shake some trees. Let's shake some trees and see if we can get another path to go down, right? Because that's what we need. We need to keep following tips. We need to keep following leads right now. Everything I need to find out about Chris is with that 17 hours. We need to find out where the heck this man was. That is going to be key. That is literally key to my next, probably this next week or two. We are going to be figuring out what we can do to identify whether or not Chris Proudfoot was truly cleaning his camper out for 17 hours, which I highly doubt. Highly doubt. But later today, we will come back here. We'll open this up. We'll start talking about y'all's opinions, where you think this case is going, what you think truly happened. And if you have any ideas on locations, I've got 3 locations that I believe are prime for searching. And one of them's in Henderson, one of them's in Gatlin. Gatlinburg or Gallatin, excuse me, and White House. I've got 2 properties, one in each area, that are good for searching. And then, of course, we have over kind of down I-40 toward Memphis. That's another area. That's going to be the longest. That's going to probably, usually I would eat that frog, but I think that, and when I say eat that frog, it's a book. It's basically you take your biggest challenge and you get it done first, and then everything else behind it, all the smaller tasks seem so much easier. If you're with production and you like to manage your time the best you can, buy the book Eat That Frog. It'll help you organize your life. Trust me, it works. I need to probably reread it. But we're going to be starting a little closer to home. I think my gut is telling me this boy is not that far from home. I feel like he's in the Sumner County or the outskirts of the Sumner County area. That's where I truly believe our best efforts need to be focusing on. It sounds like Terry Lynn has been focusing on that. I'm not sure what areas she's searching, and I'm not sure if she's telling people, and if she's not, that's probably for her own safety. I probably would behoove her to do the same thing. When I'm out there searching, because I'll be leaving my car, we probably won't be disclosing a specific search location. But at this point, I already know that no matter what I do, there's going to have to be a audio and camera set up in the car, because I've got to cover my butt, and I want to make sure if anybody's monkeying around with the car or anything like that, that we have audio, at least audio and visual on the vehicle, So, and I'm just going to do that. I may even set up, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know that the extra precautions need to be had out there. And I know that for a fact, I want to make sure if anybody's screwing around, they go to jail. So the only way I'm going to be able to do that is set them up and record them doing it, right? And by setting them up, I mean just parking my car knowing that they're going to screw with me, right? That's the only set up I need, because they're stalking me, not the other way around. So we'll see how all that works out, but I am going to have to take other precautions, especially when I leave my vehicle unattended. So it's either I'm going to have somebody sit on the car, which I don't want to put one single person in harm's way by sitting on the car, or I'm going to have to soup up the car with some additional stuff, Don't know which. Got the puppy snot. Look at that. It won't even come off my lens. Little puppy stuff. I have puppy love. I do. I have puppy love. This little girl is just, she's stolen my heart. I got to be honest with you. She's a little rambunctious and she's got a little tood. I love it because I'm like, you know what? You're perfect for me. You got a little tood just like your mama. I'll pick her up. Like I keep trying to put her in her bed and she'll go, "Arr." I'm like, you growling at me? It's so cute. So I'm like, back. Anyways, guys, I'll open it up to comments this afternoon. Probably in about a couple hours, we'll come here and we'll have an open discussion about Sebastian Rogers and see where it all goes. Thank you so much, Kathy, for all your love and support. I do appreciate it. But this was, again, sponsored by our subscribers here on TikTok, for the subscribers here on TikTok. So if you want to be part of the discussion, get up there and subscribe to the Bullhorn Betty channel. We do our best trying to keep you up to date, not just on the Sebastian Rogers case. I travel all over the country covering true crime cases, including the beautiful Madalena Kojakari, which her mother is now officially deemed a suspect in her disappearance. I'm really, honestly, I think she had to go for a variety of reasons. I think that the stepfather, when I talked to the neighbors in this community, the stepfather did not leave this child's side. If she walked out the door and wanted to go outside and play, she didn't play with other girls. She could ride her bike up and down the sidewalk next to her stepfather. I wouldn't be surprised if he was abusing her, not just physically, because it's problematic for me, the whole situation around this. And then hearing that the the stepfather and the mother weren't even really in love, that this was, some type of agreement. It's all red flags to me. It's problematic. So you guys are going to want to follow this case. This is Madalina Kojikari. I've been searching for her. I haven't found her. I haven't even seen or heard hide nor hair of her. Nobody across this country has called in that they've seen her. I truly believe she's another one that's gone. I think this is much more serious than any of us know. I think they're trying to make it sound like this, like she was sold, but I don't believe it. Because why is money being withdrawn from an account when you're supposed to be receiving money? That doesn't make sense. You may have a whole bag full of cash, but if a whole bunch of money was removed from your checking account, that would explain why the money is in the bag. So I'm very confused on that, and I would like to know where she's at. If anybody has seen Madalina Kojikari, you are asked to call the Mecklenburg Police Department and let them know of any information that you have related to her whereabouts or her mom or stepfather's whereabouts. All right, guys. Well, that was it. That's our rundown of this. And for all of those that need to know, she's doing just fine. She's still breathing. She's still got all paws, all ears, and all eyes. And she's been eating and keeping me awake and literally running my life at this moment. So I'm going to take a nap when she goes down. Well, slightly take a nap when she goes down. She had me up at 3 o'clock this morning. So we were playing from about 3 o'clock to about 4 o'clock when she tuckered out. And she's tuckered back out again. So there she is. There's Delilah. There's the newest member of the Bullhorn Betty family right there. And we're going to be bragging about her because we're going to watch her grow up. So just get used to seeing her cute little face. All right, guys, I love you. Make it a great Tuesday. We'll be back this afternoon with more in-depth coverage on the Sebastian Rogers case. God bless.